I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to the return of Bred to Win for the spring season of 2022. Coming up, our first new sire of the season we profile will be the colt who beat the tough older campaigners in the Group 1 Oakley Plate, Widden Stud, son of Deep Field, Portland Sky. And we start a series on training options available for new and current staff in the Australian breeding industry, catching up with a young student in Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's Fast Track program and his farm placement at Bhima Thoroughbreds. And leading trainer Adrian Bott in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing. First though, spring is just around the corner and the good horses are returning. All the latest in the Oz Horse News. I Am Invincible has been crowned champion Australian sire for the 2021 season after pulling away from his close rival So You Think in the dying weeks of the contest. The Yarraman Park Son of Invincible Spirit ended the final Saturday race day of the season with earnings of $19.8 million, around $500,000 ahead of So You Think, who was the leading sire for winners between a mile and 2,000 metres. Four-time champion sire Snitzel was third in the general sires list with progeny earnings of $17.8 million, with Nakoni and Seamus Award rounding out the top five. I Am Invincible thoroughly deserved the champion sire title after being runner-up to Written Tycoon and Snitzel in recent years, and his Group 1 winners in the season just concluded included Coolmore Stud and Lightning Stakes winner Home Affairs, Marabi in the Oakley Plate and Lombardo in the Goodwood, and exciting Kiwi Imperatriz, who won twice at the highest level in New Zealand. Newgate Farms Russian Revolution was crowned champion Australian first season sire with $1.8 million in offspring earnings, $300,000 ahead of Sebring's Gold Standard, with the Mission, Hellbent and Heroic Valour third, fourth and fifth. Champion second season sire was Arrowfield Stud's Japanese Star Morris, finishing ahead of capitalist Rebel Dane, Arrowfield barnmate Shalar and Star Turn, while former Arrowfield champion sire Redout's Choice finished $3 million ahead of Encosta de Lago in the champion broodmare sire title.
Extremely lucky, went swoosh!
To the final Metropolitan race day of the season, and the SAJC Lightning Stakes at Morphettville, won in the past by sprint stars such as Nature Strip and Vedora, uncovered another natural runner as Extremely Lucky bolted in an impressive wide run to the line. By Newgate Farms, son of Not a Single Doubt Extreme Choice, the 3-year-old is from Estratum, half-sister to Goodwood Handicap winner Zip Zip Array from the Nicola Lass family of Nakoni. He was withdrawn from sale as a yearling due to a scope issue, but was bought by Will Clarkin and Suman Hedge after his first win.
But crosstalk is well clear.
At Rosehill in Sydney, the listed Winter Challenge went to the Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott trained Crosstalk, an improving 4-year-old by Keno, a New Zealand-based son of Pins. He was the first stakes winner for Keno, who stands at a fee of only $2,000. Keno, a Queensland stakes winner out of O'Reilly, a half-sister to O'Reilly from the star 2-year-old filly Courtser.
By stretching out to win.
The highlight of another glorious Goodwood Carnival in the UK was the William Haggis trained Baid stretching his unbeaten winning sequence to 9 in a row. Baid is another star for Galileo's half-brother See the Stars, who is himself a son of Cape Cross and Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe winner and outstanding broodmare Urban Sea. Shadwell Stud Bred Baid traces to another Blue Hen mare Height of Fashion, dam of the late Sheikh Hamdan's Epsom Derby winner Nashwan. And finally, the Inglis late July online digital sale was topped by the daughter of Artie Schiller, Flirtini. The 6-year-old mare won over $600,000 on the track with her latest stakes success, the Miss Andretti Stakes in Perth. She was part of July's sales for Inglis Digital, totalling $11.3 million, including the sale of Sierra Sue.
Ready
running on strongly as Winner Takes It All. She's coming after Bistro quickly.
The English graduate of the week was a speedy daughter of Schnitzel Winner Takes It All, who won the second 2-year-old contest at Moonee Valley on Saturday. Trained by Peter and Paul Snowden, the fillies from the fast-step rockmare Jazaba, dam of Jim Maloney, stakes winner Queen of Dubai. Her second dam is Pierrot, who beat Sunline in a Manicato Stakes and produced Group 2 winning 2-year-old Von Costa de Hero. Winner Takes It All was sold through last year's English Easter yearling sale, offered by a Searcy stud and bought by her trainers for $280,000.
And that's been a very impressive win.
Time for a break. On Bred to Win, coming up, we showcase the magnificent Widden Stud and their new Group 1 winning sprinter, Portland Sky.
Coming away, this lady here, Contrition's all too good, and Contrition wins it well.
The Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week was from the 5-year-old mare Contrition, taking out the 2,400 metre stayers event at Eagle Farm in Brisbane on Saturday. By the late Cambridge sire Tavistock, she was bred by Sir Patrick Hogan and sold for only $35,000 as a Book 1 NZB yearling in 2018. Originally bought by Mick Price, she's now prepared by Paul Jenkins on the Sunshine Coast. Contrition's dam, Repenting by Ekra, also produced Trentham Stakes winner Our Hail Mary, while Repenting's half-sister is 4-time Group 1 winner She's Sensational. And congratulations to the Cambridge Stud team as their young sire Al Mansour achieved the titles of Champion New Zealand First Season Stallion and Champion 2-year-old sire with record-breaking earnings of over $700,000, including the winner of the Karaka 2-year-old Million Dynastic. Widden Stud has an enviable record not only as Australia's longest family-owned stud operation, but also for the number of star sprinters it stood as stallions who've shaped generations of racetrack stars. In 2022, Widden welcomes the son of deep field, Portland Sky, a rare 3-year-old colt who beat the older sprinters in the time-honoured Group 1 Oakley Plate. We're here, it's pretty chilly and in midwinter, but it's not long till spring, and it's really exciting, coming through from Widden Stud, nature strip by your own Nakoni, winning over there at Royal Ascot, and you were over there. There's been so much happening since we last had, the autumn carnival.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic time for Widden, obviously a very big year for us, and a real highlight to see nature strip, all the Aussies back at Ascot, and our very own nature strip represent the whole industry so well, and yeah, a real thrill. Everyone in Europe was so pleased to see international competition back, and certainly all the Aussies there in force I think was a real highlight. That's just wonderful for everyone in the Australian industry to be so well represented on such a large international stage.
But Portland Sky driven out, led by a length, Ballanipatina.
Well, we're looking at a real colonial bred stallion here, your new first season sire in 2022 in Portland Sky. He's just a magnificent looking horse, isn't he? And a son of deep field. So he's doing so well as a sire. It's great to see the same sort of physique being passed on through his young sire son.
Yeah, Caroline, he's a very exciting horse for us. Certainly what works at Widden historically has been the Group 1 colonial sprinters. Horses like Portland Sky, a very good looking horse. He's a magnificent physique. He really takes the eye. A lot of quality, a lot of speed. They're the horses that have served us so very well for such a long period of time. Not only did he win a Group 1, he did it as a 3-year-old against the older horses. Oakley Plate has a very proud tradition, and certainly the 3-year-old colts that can win it have gone on to be great stallions. We've seen, of course, Schnitzel, Fastnet Rock, Star Spangled Banner, those type of horses win as 3-year-old colts, beating the older horses and then go on to be, great stallions. And here in Portland Sky, we've got one that, hopefully can follow in their footsteps, and we certainly think he can.
Barkyard, Portland Sky. Now Malum goes for the stick and it races clear.
Well, if we go back to the start with Portland Sky, and I think it's an interesting thing, really showing what he was like as a racehorse. I think people might not be aware, he won on debut, and a lot of the top-class stallions, that's what they do. They win their first start.
Yeah, impressive debut. Certainly Matt Laurie had a very high opinion of Portland Sky from the start. I know they'd knocked back some very substantial offers from Hong Kong leading into his race debut. And Matt and Connections, their belief was really justified, seeing him step out and winning so impressively at his first start time at the races, and I think is quite an inexperienced horse.
And in that first preparation, he won the Red Anchor Stakes, beating the wonderful filly Bella Nipotina. Well, she's won $1.7 million. So it was the start of, a really good campaign.
Yeah, to step up through the grades so quickly and to come into the Red Anchor Stakes, the most inexperienced runner in the race, and win, a really strong Group 3 race, beat Bella Nipotina. Right then you knew this is a really, really serious colt.
And of course in that campaign too, the next start he came back, he beat the Caulfield Guineas runner-up Asar and the Blue Diamond winner Tagaloa in the Manfred Stakes.
Portland Sky's taken the lead, went to the front, a wall chases.
And then the Oakley Play at Dead Heat is a win. He wasn't beaten, he's the winner of a Group 1, and they are the tough races, aren't they? As you said, the record of these sorts of colts in an Oakley Plate stands the test of time.
For a 3-year-old to beat the older horses in the Oakley Plate has been a great thing for particularly these colts. Snitzel, Fastnet Rock, Star Spangled Banner, they're the sort of colts that have done it and gone on to be great stallions. For Portland Sky to put his hand up there, I think of his generation, he was the only colt to beat the older horses as a 3-year-old and win that big Group 1, and he certainly backed that form up again in the William Reid Weight for Age Group 1 and said, yep, genuine proper Group 1 horse, running second. He beat the Coolmore Quinella there, Swats that in September run. The other 3-year-olds really delivered again, a big stage, only to be denied by top-class Group 1 sprinter in Masked Crusader.
He won over $500,000. He's by Deep Field, who's getting some great stakes winners, and in particular we know he's going so well in Hong Kong with another Group 1 winner in Sky Field.
Deep Field has been a really terrific stallion. I think so successful, and everyone who's bred to him has had a great success with him as well. He stood at a similar sort of fee to Portland Sky when he was retired to stud, and you've seen the growth and the success of Deep Field. Every breeder has got a good Deep Field story to tell, and I think Portland's in the same boat. A lot of those mares that have been to Deep Field, the breeders have bred a nice horse and had good success, are now coming back to Portland, and obviously Deep Field's fees increased to $88,000 now. For the guys who were looking in that 20 grand range when they were breeding to Deep Field, it puts Portland well within their reach. Hopefully they can have as much success as I've had with Deep Field breeding to him in the first few years as they will with Portland Sky. He's a horse that would fit either of our operations. Widden Victoria has been in operation for just over 12 months now, and we've had a really great start down there. We're really enjoying and got great belief in the Victorian industry, as we do obviously in everything we're doing here in the Hunter and New South Wales. So there was a fair bit of pressure from the Victorian breeders to keep him down there because he raced in Victoria. But again, the Hunter breeders we spoke to, they were really keen to have Group 1 winning son of Deep Field in a more affordable price range. There's a lot of demand for that type of horse in the Hunter as well. So we did spend a fair while deliberating, and he was a horse we could have stood very proudly at either Widden Victoria or Widden here in the Hunter. But we just thought here in the Hunter he might get a bit more opportunity, and certainly all the guys who have had the Deep Field success can come back to him.
The muscle and Deep Field has that huge back end, and Portland Sky is the archetypal colonial stallion, which of course Widden has had so much success with.
Yeah, that tip of his nose to his tail, he's that just really sharp looking colonial sprinter. Lovely head and great jowl, lovely balance. You look at him, a strong forearm, a strong gasket, as you said, a lovely powerful hindquarter. As he walks away from you, you can see where he gets the speed and power from. A very clean, sound horse, and the Australian temperament that is so important as well. So, when you look at him as a physical, he's got the attributes, everything you're really looking for. The big Group 1 tick alongside his name. He's by a stallion who's doing a great job, and I think he's very well priced. So we're going into the season, I think, with a really good, strong lineup, and to add Portland Sky is a real thrill for us. He's a horse that's going to really be another great Widden stallion, and when we look at his profile, he certainly profiles like one.
A G1 Goldmine analysis of Portland Sky and nicks that have worked with his sire Deep Field show O'Reilly trending at 25% and Testarossa at 20%, albeit both with small numbers. Danehill line sires such as Rock of Gibraltar, Schwazier and his sire Danehill Dancer also work well. Deep Field sire, the influential Northern Meteor, shows a sideline nick with mares by Red Ransom at 12.5%, but also elusive quality commands Fastnet Rock and Redute's Choice. While female lines containing Dr. Grace and Rubiton have produced 9% stakes winners to runners. Portland Sky, truly a magnificent looking horse who looks absolutely suited to continue the great Widden Stud sire tradition. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, we look at Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's fast track program and what's involved in the students' placements on farm. And leading Sydney trainer Adrian Bott with an Australian Horse of the Year and Champion Australian sire in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing.
One of the horses that made me fall in love with racing was a champion in Lonhro. I guess probably at a time in my life through my high school years where I was starting to get more involved in racing, following it a lot closer and probably understanding a bit more about the industry and I guess what those wins meant, the types of races that he was running in and winning and sort of what those feats really meant. So obviously at that time as well, he captured the public imagination, so it's certainly a hard horse not to fall in love with at the time.
Gay had Pierrot, the son of Lonhro, who was a champion 2-year-old, and Lonhro himself, not only a horse of the year, but a champion Australian sire. You must love it when you see them either through the sales ring or maybe coming in the stables? Yeah,
I most certainly do. I must admit, I've certainly always had a soft spot for his progeny. Obviously, Pierrot through the stable, he's been one of the leading types of his progeny, but I'd certainly still love to find another one in his twilight years.
Yeah, and I guess the excitement when you're younger and you're watching these champion racehorses, I guess it helps you sort of understand how the general public see your horses that you're training with Gay when they succeed on the track.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of funny looking at that from that perspective. Hopefully we've got one as good as Lonhro one day. He really was a champion when you look back, through the races that, he contested, he won. Just keeping colts up to that level for such a long time throughout their careers over a number of seasons. Certainly appreciate it now being in the trainer's role, but from a public perspective, certainly important to be able to see them, I think, for that length of time. But I guess that's sort of why he was so unique and special, and just a incredible racehorse. That win in the Australia Cup and the race ball there, that was sort of one that certainly stands out. Sort of hard not to forget that one.
As only champions can do, Lonhro has won the Daly Australian Cup.
The issue of encouraging new staff into the thoroughbred breeding industry and retaining and encouraging current workers is causing plenty of angst amongst many businesses. So we thought in the next few months on Bred to Win, we'd take a look at some of the training programs on offer around Australia, starting with Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's Fast Track program. Now in its 4th year, the 12-month course offers students a Certificate 3 in horse breeding, and we thought we'd find out more about what's involved with the farm placements for the students, starting with Jimmy Clark, who's at Bhima Thoroughbreds, having had no previous experience in the thoroughbred industry. Jimmy, it's a great course, the Thoroughbred Breeders Australia Fast Track program, isn't it? I mean, you've been now doing it just for a fairly short while, I guess, but tell me what attracted you into the program in the first place?
It started off with just doing like a therapy clinic up in Darwin for veterans through Soldier On, and then from there I just got handed down the link, and then I thought, oh, I'll have a crack at it, and here I am, guns blazing. So
you've been in the army for 7+ years. It's quite a change, isn't it? But you were doing some work with therapy horses and with kids riding. Tell us a bit about that and why you actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was more like the connection with the horses, and you're not thinking about yourself, sort of think about them, and you know, seeing kids smile and having fun was great too. And the people around it, the actual team around it, sort of drew me in, sort of a team environment. I was working with stock horses up in the Northern Territory, so it was a bit different coming down and working with Thoroughbreds now. Bit of an eye-opener, so a lot bigger.
But there is a level of calm, you know, as a return soldier yourself, in terms of being around a horse, isn't there?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you get a lot back from it, I think. Like, you honestly, you calm your nerves, and there's a whole lot to it. Like, there's the build-up of actually approaching a horse, and then getting a lead rope on, and everything. It's sort of, there's a whole mechanics to it. It's not just running up, chucking it on. Definitely need to connect with the horses, yeah.
Tell us about the course so far. So what have you done in the first period?
In the first period, it's been about 4 weeks at TAFE, and that's just a foundation, sort of building up your skills and working in the stables there at TAFE, and then just doing little things like, it's honestly just foundation building your skills up. There's a lot of people in the program that sort of already had those skills. I was a bit less experienced, so it was good for me, but I think it's good for anyone with any background, any experience. So
I think the fact that Jimmy is here as a complete blank space, like a sponge, ready to learn whatever we have to show him, he can learn everything on Bhima, from conception of a mare to foaling the mare, then as we go through sale preps to selling our yearlings. He can learn everything about the breeding season here at Bhima, except for stallions. But that is something that, you know, I'm happy to share with him, even if he goes to another farm to learn about that.
So today, these weanlings have come in for like an education refresher, so they get some initial handling as foals. And then we bring them through the barn and sort of give them a taster of everything that they'll encounter as they grow a bit older, whether it's in a yearling prep for sale, or some of the ones that don't end up going to a sale, if they go on to trainers, we just give them an initial sort of education process. Jimmy and I were today putting rugs on them for the first time, which might seem like quite a simple thing to, you know, the everyday person who's just throwing a rug on any old horse. But when it is the very first time that they've had something like that, it can be quite confronting for them, and really important that we're both sort of keeping ourselves in like safe positions all the time, because at the end of the day, these guys are probably coming up to about 300 kilos, and yeah, things can turn pretty wild pretty quick. So that's really important, teaching someone like Jimmy, who's quite new to it all and doesn't have a background with horses, how to keep himself safe. So the main thing I would think for safety of everyone is if both people are on the same side of the horse. So if the horse does spook, the person holding the horse generally will just pull the head towards them. And if someone is on the other side, that means the bum goes towards them. So if you're both on the same side, generally you won't come into any harm. And yeah, just generally to keep an eye on what the horse is doing, sort of like paying attention. You don't want the person holding the horse to be like on their phone or anything like that. Just very aware of like what the horse is doing, what the other person's doing, and yeah.
You can come in with no experience, and there's just such a good team at the fast track program, and on farm, once you get on farm, everyone's there to support you and help you through, answer all the questions. Even if they're a bit of a red herring and a funny one, they'll still answer it and help you through it.
Tell me what you've learnt here so far, because we've seen you handling some little weanlings. They've just come in, first time with the rugs on. Tell us about some of the jobs you're doing.
It freaked me out, like the whole mechanics of the farm to begin with. Like, I just had no idea how it actually runs, but now actually after a couple of weeks working here, like, there's a lot to it. And it's like the 1%ers, it's like the little things work out into the big things. With our feed runs, when I started off learning, you're going into paddocks and you're sort of checking head to toe, eyes to ears, like, making sure they haven't got any injuries or anything like that.
I think it's really important to make sure that he's never by himself. So, and it's not just from a safety point of view. I mean, we need to be there to teach him so he can learn safe ways to do things. And having somebody there with him the whole time, it's good for, you know, work camaraderie as well. We're a really happy farm. You walk around, we've all got smiles on our faces. We love being here. I think our passion for what we do shows through in the way that we interact with each other and horses, and I think that's just a really great way to show Jimmy that, you know, you can make a life out of working with these horses.
We've got a blue sky sort of day, freezing cold, but it's really good, healthy work, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. I love being outside. That's sort of what drew me to it as well. So I would hate being locked up in an office. I love being out of here, even though it's cold, but you know, and it's good because you're around with the team, you sort of have a laugh and get along, so it's great.
I guess some farms might say, oh, well, we're kind of losing our staff to teaching this person, but you're kind of gaining that extra, maybe it's a half a person really, but it is an extra staff member.
Yeah, absolutely. It is having an extra person here. I think it's a little short-sighted to say that you're losing somebody teaching that person. In the long term, that is actually a whole new trained person. And in the meantime, that person that's teaching Jimmy, when Jimmy asks a question, they then have to stop, think about it, and they're retraining themselves. So I see it as a threefold. We're getting a new staff member for the time being. The person that's teaching him is getting a refresher on relearning some of the stuff that they're teaching Jimmy. And at the end of the day, we're going to have Jimmy a trained professional.
Maddie and the team at Fast Track, tell me about them and how much support they give you.
Oh, it's amazing the support they give us. Like Maddie and even the teachers at TAFE, like they're outstanding. Like they give you so much help. Like I haven't had any difficulty with things, even if I had questions that were probably easy to everyone else. They could answer for me in simplest terms, so it was good.
And someone like Jimmy, how would you describe him? I mean, he seems as if he's just in heaven.
Oh yeah, a lovely guy. Minimal horse experience, which did not bother me at all. He is super keen, really easy to teach. He's got the capacity to learn, and just his keenness and attitude to want to be here every day is more important to me than any previous horse experience he might have had. But we're really lucky to have Jimmy. He's fantastic.
And what would you say if someone was just, you know, whether they'd had any horse experience or not, and they thought, oh wow, working with horses in any capacity, what would you say to them? How would you recommend the Fast Track program?
Just have a crack. Just get into it, yeah. You've got nothing to lose, and if you get it, it's going to be the greatest thing you'll probably do. So, yeah, you get a lot from it, meet a lot of good people, and like I said, it's like a foundation to the rest of the racing industry.
Some great points there from the Bhima team, and wonderful to see Jimmy's enthusiasm for working in the thoroughbred industry. And in coming weeks, we'll feature some more training options for staff around Australia. That's it for this edition of Bred to Win. Join me again next week as we profile a first season son of the great Snitzel, taking that great blood into New Zealand. Group 1 winning 2-year-old Sword of State, new to Cambridge Stud. And we catch up with one of the most exciting racetrack performers in recent years, Arrowfield Stud's Castelvecchio, as he embarks upon his 3rd season at Stud. That's next week. I'm Searcy. Look forward to seeing you then.